Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and this is part 2 of our Space Marine review. This video is sponsored by CMO Games. More on that later. A new generation of Space Marine Scouts. It's typically considered quite difficult to become a Space Marine. You can't just be the toughest 10-year-old in your village. You have to be the hardest brawling preteen in the whole region. Then you'll meet all the other children selected by the angels for their over-the-top belligerence. Perhaps you'll have to fight them to prove your mettle. Or perhaps you'll have to work together to face insurmountable challenges. Either way, the mortality rate is extremely high. And that's before you have a single iota of transhuman gene therapy. If you pass the grueling selection process, you enter years of organ implantation, body modification, psycho-conditioning, and an intensive course of Space Marine boot camp. Survive all that, far from a given, and you still aren't a Space Marine. Alright, so let's take a look at the new Space Marine Scouts. So very cool. We had a feeling that these were going to be coming back probably under a new name, but it looks like they're just going with Space Marine Scouts. I hated to see the old line removed, but the models were out of date. So coming back with some fresh new rules and some absolutely amazing new models. So 10 Scouts in the set. We do see some options, but it does look like things have changed. Now, to really prove your worth, a place in the chapter's ranks, you'll need to pick up some light armor, a shotgun, and a rugged pair of combat trousers, and head off to make your mark on some of the most dangerous missions open to the Adeptus Astartes. Yep, you're a Space Marine Scout. Alright, so we have seen options here for basically, on our Sergeant, obviously the chainsword and pistol. Not sure what other options there's going to be, but we see the combat shotguns are going to be an option for all 10 of the models. We see also the combat knife and the bolt pistol. And then we see, of course, the classic bolters. So here it's only showing 5 models. There are 10 for sure. And we've also seen some heavy weapon options as well. A heavy bolter and missile launcher. And I've got to say, these look awesome. We knew they were going to look really good. They basically look like the Black Templars Novitiate Scouts that they redid Primaris. But essentially they don't have like the tabards. And then they have some much cooler heads. So very, very cool. Definitely a fan of these models. Scout squads have been part of the Space Marines lore for roughly as long as they've been Space Marines. With their lighter armor, tactical visors, and nifty mohawks, these stealthy youngbloods have been hitting the dirt upon distant objectives for decades. The new Scouts are taller and leaner, but keep the carapace armor and other classical accoutrements of the new Space Marine neophyte. It's all there. You've got a choice of bolt guns, Astartes shotguns, or pistols and combat knives for each of the rank and file, with plenty of accessories and heads sporting a fresh trim. So we see also a grapnel launcher right here. So we know that's an option from the Reavers and lets them basically ignore intervening terrain and also vertical distances when they're traveling. So that is pretty cool. Obviously the heavy bolter, the missile launcher. We see the cloak right here and then also a sniper rifle. It doesn't look like that's going to be an option for the whole squad though. It looks more like it's going to be like a specialized weapon. So maybe the special weapon will be the sniper and the heavy weapon will be one of these two. Or maybe it'll be a choice of the 3. We're not really sure. We also don't know if the camo cloak is just going to like only affect that one guy. If it's going to give like -1 to hit for the whole squad. And it doesn't look like it's going to be an option to equip the whole squad with sniper rifles and camo cloaks. Those who need to sneak heavier firepower onto the battlefield will find options for gunners lugging missile launchers or heavy bolters, as well as a cloak sniper for picking off enemy characters. Everything a youngblood needs to prove themselves to the chapter. So very cool. I like that there's like a bunch of cool like specialized weapons splashed in. So these guys are basically like training to become one of the like more specialized like Primaris positions. So very, very cool. Definitely a big fan of the new Space Marine Scouts. Alright, and next we've got the Space Marine Terminators. Fire up the teleport homer and prepare for rapid ingress. Space Marine Terminators are heavily armored heroes of the 41st millennia. Indestructible interstellar knights fighting the good fight against the alien, the witch, and the heretic. And with the recent release of Warhammer 40,000 Leviathan, they've been dragged punching and boltering into the Era Indomitus with imposing new sculpts. Alright, so here we see the new multi-part plastic kit with a heavy bolter. We see some chain fist options as well. Very good for taking down vehicles. We also see a new chaplain with a bunch of weapon options, including a relic shield. A new captain, again with a bunch of head options, weapon options as well. Very, very cool. Great looking models. I absolutely love the easy to build kit. And honestly, the only thing better is a multi-part kit. So here we see the sergeant. Very cool. Nice pose. And then again, we see like some nice diverse poses. Here's a couple guys with chain fists. So they get to re-roll their wounds against vehicles. Very, very powerful. And then here we see an assault cannon. We already saw the heavy flamer, a couple of power fists, again, some more head options. Really, really liking the new Terminators. And more we shall get. These 5 multi-pose, multi-part Terminators are in scale with the new push-fit squad found in Leviathan, but come with a whole bunch of extra options. The classic Terminator arsenal is all present, and correct storm bolters plus a power fist, a chain fist for every model, a heavy flamer or assault cannon, and shoulder-mounted cyclone missile launcher on top of a great big bundle of aesthetic options. So here we see the power fist pointing, very cool and iconic pose, heavy flamer. We see the cyclone missile launcher, very, very cool. Note that this set does not contain options for Assault Terminators. The current kit will remain available for the time being. So that is interesting. So we're going to see a separate kit for Assault Terminators, and they're leaving it in the range for now. So that means it's probably going to be a while before we get those. So very unfortunate to see that, because obviously the new sculpts are amazing. So it's a shame that in the meantime, you won't have access to them unless you do your own conversions, of course.
Now a quick message from today's sponsor. CMO Games has been selling Games Workshop products online for over 20 years. They carry the full line of Games Workshop products, including Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, Necromunda, Blood Bowl, paint tools, and more. Almost all Games Workshop products are priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games takes pre-orders for most Games Workshop products released at their earliest date possible. 12:01 a.m. on Saturday, they go live. Most of these pre-order products are also priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games offer free shipping in the US 48 with an order of $50 or more. Their customer service is top-notch and they ship most orders within 24 hours. Visit CMOGames.com using the affiliate link in the description and let them know that you heard about CMO Games from Warhammer Man. Now back to the video.
All right, so next we have the Chaplain in Terminator armor. Absolutely awesome. So the classic Chaplain look, it's been a while since we've had one available. So this was on my list of models to expect, and so were a lot of the other models just in a multi-part kit. So we saw a couple options for the Crozius. This looks like the same one here. We see the Relic Shield, very cool for an extra wound. And then, of course, Stormbolter. Complete the classic 3 of Terminator armored characters with this imposing fellow, armed with the crackling Crozius-inspired litanies and a Stormbolter or Relic Shield. He adds 1 to your squad's wound rolls in melee, on top of granting them Feel No Pain 4+ against mortal wounds. In short, this guy is a powerhouse when attached to a squad of Terminators. So Terminators already have the 4+ invulnerable save, then it gives them a 4+ against mortal wounds. We just talked about how the chain fists allow you to reroll your wounds against vehicles, and then he also adds 1 to wound as well. So even if you have a Terminator going up against a knight, he would normally need a 5 to wound. It's going to give you 4s to wound and then allow you to reroll your wounds as well. So it's going to make them much more efficient at taking down like those big vehicles, heavy armed targets. So in many ways, melee has seemed like a little bit underwhelming in this edition, at least against vehicles. And things like a Chaplain, especially in a Terminator squad, really kind of mix that up, especially when you throw some chain fists in the mix as well. And then, of course, we have the Captain in Terminator armor as well. The Terminator armored Captain from Leviathan is an epic hero, striking a suitably fearsome pose atop severed head of a defeated hive monstrosity. But he wields only one of the war gear loadouts available to a Space Marine officer of his station. This new Captain in Terminator armor is a multi-option kit who can be equipped with a combi weapon or Stormbolter, a Relic Sword or Relic Fist to really make him your own. There's also head options, and he has a choice of whether to wear a tabard to battle or not. So very cool. Awesome model. Obviously the one in Leviathan's really cool. This one is a different overall pose, but then has all the weapon options. Some cool head options, and then tabard, no tabard. Definitely awesome. And here we see him posed a little bit different with the combi weapon. Again, really cool. Definitely some awesome options. So we didn't quite make it through the Space Marines, and there's still more to come. Let me know what you think so far. And we got one more we're going to take a look at here. Special thanks to CMO Games for sponsoring the video. Check them out to save 15%. Link in the description. That's it for this one. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man. And we got one more to take a look at for Space Marines. And I'm out of here.